everybody, and welcome to a rather sad edition of BIGRAT Bytes this month. As most of you will probably know, on the 14th of September, Zienia Merton passed away at the age of 72. Zienia, of course, was well known to all of us for playing Sandra in both seasons of Space 1999. Sandra was one of my favourite characters on Space 1999, and the reason for that is, firstly, Xenia always gave a really lovely performance, but secondly, and probably partly related to the first as well, is that she felt like the most human character on the base. She was extremely relatable, and obviously you have a lot of brave, dashing heroes in Space 1999, as you have in all of the Gerry Anderson shows, but these people were not specifically trained to go out into the unknown and explore space and come up against all sorts of horrors like they did on a weekly basis. So Sandra was just an ordinary person going about her job the best way she could. One of the things that a lot of people have commented on, including Xenia herself, is the fact that Sandra became sort of an emotional barometer for Moonbase Alpha. Yeah, anytime something went wrong, some horrible alien horror came into view, we knew the situation was bad because Sandra would faint. They very quickly sort of dropped that aspect of the character, but she still retained that very human quality. She was afraid an awful lot, and it just made her more relatable to me. As much as I, love, say, Alan Carter, I couldn't necessarily relate to him as much, even though he was a, stalwart Australian man of action, so nothing like me. It was, he was almost sort of too much a TV hero to be, to genuinely follow. Same with Koenig and Tony and a few of the others. But Sandra just felt so much more real because she was reacting to these weird and fantastic situations in a believable way. She was scared. I think probably one of her best episodes, despite the fact that it's not a favourite of many people, would be The Full Circle, because it focuses so much more on her, and it's just like putting her through the ringer for this episode, and she still comes out of it intact, but they're not afraid to show how vulnerable she can be.
Oh God, what has happened? What is happening to me?
Threatening Sandra is like threatening a puppy. You just want to keep her safe at all costs. And Xenia was not only very good at portraying a character who was scared but had dignity, she also had many other very human qualities. At times she could be short-tempered.
That is why the commander is out in space, Tony, trying to get visual contact with the source.
She evidently had some unfulfilled maternal aspirations at some point, which in the alternate future was fulfilled on the new Earth. Although she appeared in every episode of the first season, she didn't always have dialogue. I can think of at least 2 episodes where she is just an extra. But even then, it was nice to see her there constantly, even if she had nothing to do. It was just like one more regular familiar face. Which is why when we got to the second series, and she was one of 5 actors from the first season to be kept on, but with significantly reduced screen time, to the extent where she finally felt she had to leave after the 3rd episode, One Moment of Humanity. I was really glad, midway through the 2nd season, to see Sandra come back. I think this was down to Barbara Bain getting on the phone and sort of pleading with her to come back. And again, she never really rose much above the level of an extra in the 2nd season, ultimately. She did have a bit of a romantic interlude with Nicholas Young.
He's a pilot. We were going to get married when my tour of duty on Alpha ended.
She even got to be brave in one episode.
Commander, you cannot.
Didn't last very long, though. But then she got offered a role in a film, circumstances changed, so again she left the show before the end of the run. So I think out of the 48 she's in maybe 35-ish. However, she is also in the 1999 short film played at the Breakaway Convention on September 13th, 1999, Message from Moonbase Alpha. And it's a message from Sandra, the last person to evacuate Moonbase Alpha before the Alphans relocate to a new planet. And it's an utter tour de force for what a terrific performer Xenia was.
That is the past. For now, a new and even greater challenge awaits us.
If you haven't seen it, it is available on YouTube, and I think it's on a few of the DVD releases. It's a wonderful ending to the show, but it's also a wonderful sort of showcase for everything that Xenia brought to that character. The humanity, which was such an important element of Space 1999 anyway, the vulnerability, the compassion, it's all there on display, and it's all her, and it's wonderful.
And finally, to you, the people of planet Earth, we say goodbye.
I'm rather ashamed to admit that I haven't seen too much of her work, unfortunately. I have seen her turn up in one or two other ITC shows.
He's not dead. You're lying to me. And Ham, you know where he is. You think Jamal is here illegally. Trick me, make me tell he is not dead!
But other than Space 1999, the one thing that I remember her for more than anything would be Doctor Who. Her story, Marco Polo, which is the fourth story of the original Doctor Who, sadly no longer in existence, unless anybody out there knows differently, which is full of really good performances. It's an amazing story. But Xenia, who is playing this Chinese princess, Ping Cho, who I think is meant to be like 16 years old or something, she is much like an early version of Sandra. She is very young, she is very naive, but she's very optimistic. She wants to see the best in everybody, and she's kind of wrestling with this problem that she's being forced to go and marry a man that she doesn't want to marry. And again, spoiler alert, when they finally reach their destination, they find out that this old man has in fact died. And her response to the news is beautiful.
You not weep for your lost love?
My lady, I grieve an old man's death as all would do. But how can I weep for a love I have never known?
Unfortunately, I was never lucky enough to meet Xenia at a convention. However, I did go through a phase of writing to actors for autographs, sort of mid to late 2000s. I think Xenia was one of the first that I wrote to, and I sent this picture along, which I think is flopped. It got crumpled in the post along the way. I don't know if you can see that there. So not only did she send that back signed, very kindly for me, she also included another signed photo, this time from season 2. I'm not sure what episode that is from. I'm going to guess it might be Space Warp, not sure. And if you notice, on the corner there's a bit missing. This is because the envelope was intercepted by a little puppy called Millie. She decided to take a bite out of the envelope, and before anybody could stop her, she'd done some damage to that photo.
Millie, why did you destroy Xenia's picture? Why did you do that? What, there's that corner there. That corner there, you remember? You bit the photo. No? Are you going to apologise? I don't think she's going to apologise.
Xenia also included a nice little letter as well, in which she mentions her autobiography, Anecdotes and Armadillos, which I do have somewhere. I couldn't find it, but that's a really nice read. If you can find it, I don't know if it's still available or not, it's well worth tracking down. She's very self-deprecating, but also something that comes across when she's talking about Space 1999 is how fiercely loyal she was to the idea of the show, and in particular to the fans, to the people who let her know how much they enjoyed it. Everyone that I've heard speak about her seems to say the same thing, that she was always very supportive of the show and really receptive to the fans. So if she was aware of how much love there was out there for the show, and she obviously was, I hope she was also aware how much love there was out there for her, for Sandra, and for what she did with that character. I'd like to think that she knew. I'm also really looking forward to listening to her reading the Target novelisation of Marco Polo, which is due out at the end of this year. So although Xenia has now sadly left us, she has also left us Sandra, Ping Cho, a body of wonderful screen work, and for Gerry Anderson fans, a character that most Space 1999 fans really love, and an actress that fans who attended those conventions will always remember. Here's a few of the highlights of Zienia Merton as Sandra Benes in Space 1999.
Away from Alpha. Away from sensors, monitors, and computers. We have done the longest tour of duty ever. We deserve a break. There are many forms of life, but this is beautiful. Destroy the planet? But they are still down there.
It's mandatory.
And you will carry it out? Why has all this happened to us, Professor?
God's using us for their sport, perhaps.
What would you and Peter like as a wedding present from little old Earth?
Just to be there. It is beautiful, like fish scales. You're the doctor, Helena, so forgive me for prescribing, but you need some rest.
Dr. Sandra.
You'll be lucky.
Commander, the radiation cloud has cleared now. The readings we are getting are accurate. David has double-checked them with the computer, and the fact is we are going to collide with that planet in less than 7 hours.
What about fashions? What's everybody wearing?
You cannot do it, Commander. We have children, a future. We will not let you destroy it.
Do you know which earthly sound I miss most in the silence of space?
Birdsong?
Wherever you go on your onward journey, our hearts will go with you.